Alright, well I guess we're doing Soldier. But before I start the video, I just want to mention that if I say the weapon you use in TF2 is bad for MVM, don't take it personally. I'm just saying that mostly because I just can't use it and I'm not skilled enough. So please don't take this seriously. We good? Alright, let's get to the video. Do you like damage numbers? What about ears bleeding from sheer amounts of hit sounds after you fire one rocket? Do you want a top score on your team in MVM? Well, Soldier is the right class for you. Just like last video, I'm going through the weapons I use and why in MVM, but this time, Soldier. Let's start off with the primary for Soldier, and then make our way to melee, and then some honorable mentions. Let's go. Okay, let's start off with some of the viable primary weapons that I would recommend for Soldier, starting off with the airstrike. This weapon introduced to Soldier is really unique compared to the other rocket launchers. The airstrike starts off with a clip of 4 rockets and adds 1 to the clip every kill you get. Once you're in the air, the airstrike rapidly fires all its rockets if you're holding down the mouse. So essentially it's like a literal airstrike. Funny, isn't it? Yeah. The reason why it's good for MVM is because it's really good for crowd control, just like the beggars, but we will get to that later in the video. The large bursts of rockets can do a lot of damage to giant robots, large amounts of small robots, and the tank. Now, I wouldn't favor this weapon because of the couple stats it does have. You get a 15% damage penalty and a 10% explosion radius penalty. Those numbers don't seem too big and don't seem scary, but when it comes to upgrading, that can become a huge problem. The stock airstrike without any upgrades could potentially be one of the worst weapons to use in MVM, because you run out of ammo right away, and the damage is enough to take out large groups of robots. But the reason why I do suggest it is because you can upgrade all those stats in the shop, like clip size, damage, ammo capacity, health on kill, and a few others. But all of that is really expensive. Let's just say you have a fully upgraded airstrike, you can do so much damage and you'll soon be able to see the damage numbers rolling in. So I would use this weapon in a later game once your team has collected a lot of cash. But other than that, the airstrike is a really fun weapon to use and it can be good once it gets upgrades. Okay, so this next weapon is, I'm not going to talk much about it because I'm just going to give you the brief rundown of it because I want you to use this in MVM and just see for yourself. Words cannot describe the amount of power this weapon has, okay? Okay. Alright, next weapon, the beggars. This weapon can possibly be one of the most recommended weapons. It isn't so popular and casual, but it is quite the pristine weapon to use for MVM. The burst fire mechanic can offer some insane damage. Yes, it has less of a damage radius, but it makes up for it if you want to shoot 8 rockets all at once at someone. This could be considered almost a direct upgrade compared to the airstrike. The beggars is really fun to use and does a metric ton of damage. Need I say more? No? Okay, let's move on to the black box. The black box, in my opinion, is amazing. When I play Soldier, that's all I want to use. The damage is the same as stock, except you lose 25% of your clip size. Now, this downgrade isn't as drastic as the airstrike, in my opinion, because it is relatively cheap to upgrade the clip size and to have up to 7 rockets in a clip. The other stat on the black box is the 20 health on attack. So whenever you do damage to any robot, you'll get 20 health back. However, you cannot get overheal from it, but that would be super fun. Just like all rockets, you can upgrade the same stuff, but the health on kill upgrade mixed with the base stat makes you super hard to kill, especially if you're using the conch. Then at that point, you're just being an ass. Anyways, let's move on to the secondary. Now the one I will stick with would be the buff banner. Now some people use other banners, but personally if you're a new player looking to play MVM, I would suggest using the buff banner so you won't get cyberbullied and called racial slurs. Just saying. Why don't we talk about the buff banner's base stats? The great thing is the buff banner is really simple. If you do damage, you collect rage, just like hype in a hype bar from the soda popper and scout. In order to fill the rage bar, you must do 600 damage in a single life to completely fill up that bar. Once you've collected full rage, you can use the buff banner, and once activated, you and anyone around you on your team will do mini crits. This secondary is so helpful for taking out tanks. It gives everyone a little more damage to help kill tanks just a little bit faster. Another secondary that I've seen somewhat used in MVM is the Contra. The Contra has one stat of plus 4 health per second. However, this isn't exactly true. It does give you 4 health per second, but that determines whether or not you're taking damage. If you do take damage, you get 2 health per second, then 3, then eventually 4. Let's move on to the white text. It gives the group a speed buff of a certain percentage. I have them on screen now, and it also gives you 35% of your health back on hit. In order to charge up its rage bar, you need to do 480 damage for it to be full. So basically, the conch is a really team health based item. I guess you could use it if your team didn't have a medic, but other than that, there aren't many others that I would recommend for MVM. Alright, last but certainly not least, the melee. If I'm being honest, the melee in the game I don't think really matters. Like, out of the melees I use in MVM, the disciplinary action, escape plan, market garden, I don't really have a preferred weapon. I have text upon text with my soldier main buddy asking him what melee is best for MVM, and he too agrees that, and I quote, melee is a very situational but strong utility option. So as long as you're not strictly using the market garden, I guess it's kind of useless. It's not that these melees are bad, it's just that they don't really come into effect like the Scout's Fan of War. I just think that they don't really have a better use over the other. I guess it's a preference thing, but anyways, let's quickly go over some I think would be better than nothing. For example, the escape plan. So the first thing you'll notice is that the more a player is damaged, the faster speed they receive if the item is equipped in their hand. So it's a really good weapon for running away. However, once you have it in your hand, you become marked for death and while holding it for 3 seconds after. The disciplinary action is also kind of good when it comes to getting to where you need to go. For example, if you miraculously run out of rockets at a convenient time when the round ends. You could use your disciplinary action to whack someone who is close to you so you can get that 3-second boost and your teammate a 2-second boost. To be honest, this segment is really hard to do because the melee for soldier, in my opinion, isn't going to benefit him or make things worse by a large margin at all. I think that's all I have for the melee section. But like I promised, let's do some honorable mentions. So for primaries, I mentioned the airstrike being good for a late game, the black box for a well-rounded in every kind of category weapon. But I didn't mention weapons like the cow mangler. Since it has an infinite clip, this is like the thing you don't have to upgrade, but everything else you would eventually need to upgrade. The charge mechanic I think can be quite useful, especially when dealing with engineer bots and large crowds. I really like the weapon for the charge mechanic and the infinite ammo in MVM. Also the stock launcher. There isn't much to talk about besides, in my personal opinion, is a direct downgrade when it comes to a fully upgraded black box. They can both do the same amount of damage, but the black box offers a minus 25% clip size, which can be nullified by the upgrades. I mean, the rocket launcher is still a strong option, and I wouldn't not recommend it. I'm just saying, I think it's better to use almost anything else. If you use the Liberty launcher in MVM, just know you're going to get yelled at. Just don't use it. Just don't. And now, secondaries. The battalion's backup is pretty good if you're a big team player. It gives you immunity to crit damage for 10 seconds once you've done the 600 damage to activate it. It gives you a 30% damage resistance with a 50% damage resistance to sentries. So really, this is good if you absolutely hate dying to crit scouts, and honestly, don't use any shotguns, please. Again, you're gonna get yelled at. So just don't, please. Anyways, besides melee, I think that's it. I don't want to get into that again, so yeah, no melees. They don't provide any advantage at all. Just, we're not doing that again. I just want to thank you guys for spending time out of your day to watch my video. At this point, we're at 56 subs, and my goal is to get to 75 before the new year, and every single one of you counts. So if you've enjoyed my content, please consider throwing a sub my way. It means a lot by you doing that. You just feed my dream of becoming a content creator. So thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.